I turned 62 in 2 weeks, actually, and I want to start collecting my Social Security. I don't see why not. I have been working for 47 years. The government has been taking my money, and I think it's time that I need to take it back.
I'm still retiring at 62. It doesn't matter your rules. I'll take the 70% of my Social Security because I have everything else. Some people are going to just take it because, you know what, I can't work anymore, but I need it. Some people like me, I'm taking it just because I want it. And I'm not waiting till I drop dead and say, oh, you didn't get it because you dropped dead.
When I turn 62, be able to go ahead and draw my Social Security. And yes, I realize it's a pretty big cut, but I just feel like for me in my situation, it would be the right thing to do.
Okay, follow up to the video I did on collecting Social Security at 62 and you don't qualify for Medicare yet.
Retirement at 62? Collect Social Security at 62? I want your opinions, everybody. I turned 62 in 2 weeks, actually, and I have been extremely lucky. I've been able to only work part-time since the beginning of this year, and I want to start collecting my Social Security. I don't see why not. I have been working for 47 years. The government has been taking my money, and I think it's time that I need to take it back. And if I wait a couple more years, it's really not a big difference. I've been watching so many TikToks and social media things about retiring early. Well, not early, but at 62, which is the required age to start collecting your Social Security. So I would love opinions. What do you think, everybody? I do have my health insurance still from my husband. And even if I collect now and start putting that money away when he does retire, and I might have to get my own health insurance, I might have a little nest egg there. So I don't know. I want to hear the good and the bad and the ugly.
So first and foremost, I will start this video by saying, which I probably should say in all my videos, but it's in the description anyways, I am not a financial advisor. This is not a financial advice. This is simply my opinion as a investor, as someone who is a personal financial enthusiast and who likes to do research on certain things like this because I'm weird. First, let's start with some facts or some information so that we can kind of shape the discussion around what she's asking, which is, should she retire at 62 or wait until full retirement age, FRA, which is 67 if you were born 1960 or later. The earliest you can retire if you were born 1960 or later is 62 years old. However, you will get a reduced Social Security benefit. It could be up to as much as 30%. So they give an example here, someone who's 62 years old and they retire at 62 years old and start withdrawing their Social Security benefit, they could receive up to as much as, or as little, I should say, as 70% of their full retirement amount. So instead of receiving 100%, they would only receive 70. And they give an example here of someone who would have gotten $2,000 per month at full retirement age, instead only getting $1,400 a month at 62 because their benefit was reduced by 30%. And the thing about it is, once you take that money at 62, that is it. So in other words, you cannot then later get the full retirement amount later on. You have to continue getting that amount that you got when you started at 62. One thing I will say about her situation is she still has health insurance through her husband, because a big factor that a lot of people weigh in, which we'll touch upon in a second, is will they get, or how will they get health insurance? Because in the United States of America, our health insurance is mostly tied through our employer. So if you don't have employment, you have to seek health insurance in other places. And a lot of times it's a lot more expensive.
Okay, follow up to the video I did on collecting Social Security at 62 and you don't qualify for Medicare yet. So I asked what people are planning on doing for insurance up until they do qualify. And the majority, I got a lot of people that replied, thank you so much. And the majority of people said Marketplace and Obamacare. That seems to be the majority of what people are looking at. So that is what I'm going to look into, Obamacare and Marketplace. Some people are saying they've saved enough where they're not too worried. Some people say they're not going to get insurance and they're just going to wait it out because they're pretty healthy. Other people have like private insurance. Some people work part-time and their employers will let them keep their insurance.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, a big a big consideration that a lot of people take into account when they're trying to decide whether or not they should take early Social Security or wait till their full retirement age is how they're going to get their health insurance. As she was going over, there are a few different ways you can get health insurance when you retire before you qualify for Medicare. So again, just consulting our good friend here, Google, I asked them, what are some other options for health insurance when you can't yet qualify for Medicare? It says that there are several health insurance options available to bridge the gap until you become eligible for Medicare at 65, as I mentioned. She talked about Obamacare, as it's colloquially called, which is the Affordable Care Act or the health marketplace. And so that's one way to get some additional coverage. There's also continuation of COBRA. That's from your employer, but COBRA can be very expensive. So yeah, that's one thing. There's spousal coverage, as she mentioned. The person that we saw in the first clip, her husband still works, and so she's on her husband's health insurance, so she doesn't have to worry about how she'll get health insurance for herself. Then there's private health insurance. Of course, that's self-explanatory. You can purchase options from different companies that offer health insurance privately, as opposed to through your through your employer. You have short-term medical insurance. You have Medicaid. This is for you have to qualify for Medicaid. It's another federal entitlement. Medicare is for when you're older. Medicaid is for when you're a lot of times lower income, or you have some other, maybe a disability or something to that effect. So it says it here, if you have limited or no income after retiring, you may qualify for Medicare, or Medicaid rather, excuse me. There's retiree health benefits and then health savings accounts. So a lot of times, with your employer, they offer a health savings account, and it's an account that, as it mentions here, is triple advantaged. So if you have a high deductible plan, you can use the health savings account. Contributions are tax deductible, just like when you put money into your 401k at work, you put it in pre-tax, not post-tax. The money grows tax-free, so similar to like a Roth IRA, which is a post-tax account. You pay taxes first, then you put the money into your Roth IRA, and then that money you put into your Roth grows, and you don't have to pay taxes when you withdraw it if you withdraw it at a certain age. This account is pre-tax and it grows tax-free, which is great. And when you withdraw it, just like with Roth IRA, if it's for a qualified medical expense, it's also tax-free. So, it's great if it's offered to you.
So I have a question for you. For those of you that are over the age of 60, I'm 61. I turned 61 in May. Do you plan on taking your Social Security retirement at the age of 62? Or are you planning on waiting a few more years? And for the ones of you that did take it at 62, are you still happy and satisfied that you went ahead and took it at that age? Because my husband did take his at 62, and he's glad he went ahead and done his. And I am wanting to do the same thing. When I turn 62, be able to go ahead and draw my Social Security. And yes, I realize it's a pretty big cut, but I just feel like for me, in my situation, it would be the right thing to do.
I want to quickly go over a very, 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 very brief history of Social Security, so please hang with me. The Social Security Act was signed in August 14th, 1935 by Franklin D. Roosevelt. And as you can see here, the taxes were collected for the first time in January of 1937, and the first one-time lump sum payment was paid out that same month in 1937, and ongoing monthly payments started in January of 1940. Now, I went over to ChatGPT and I consulted our friend ChatGPT because why not? I said, hi Chat, I have a few questions for you. 1, what was the required retirement age when Social Security was first created in the United States? 2, what was the average life expectancy for men and women when Social Security was first created? 3, when did the early and full retirement age increase? And 4, why did the full retirement age increase? The response that it gave me was 1, what was the required retirement age when Social Security was created was 65. That was back to 1935. And it said that this means workers could claim the full benefit at 65. And at the time, there were no provisions for early retirement, such as 62 years old, which is what we're talking about in this video. Number 2, what was the average life expectancy for men and women when Social Security was first created? Now, I really want you all to pay attention to this really quickly because it's very, very enlightening. When Social Security was signed into law in 1935, okay? Keep in mind the retirement age to collect Social Security was 65. The life expectancy was 58 years old for men and 62 years old for women. What does that mean? That means that when the Social Security Act went into effect, the full retirement age was 65, which was 3 years older than the average woman lived. And how many years? I can do math here. And 7 years older than the average life expectancy for men. What does that tell you? It tells you that the federal government really wasn't too keen on paying out a bunch of money to people through Social Security. That's what that means to me, anyways. To me, that's mind-boggling. What does it say here? It's worth noting these are averages, of course. Many people die young, which is even worse because that means that they really didn't expect you to take it because you were gonna die young. If someone survives into adulthood, especially 20s or 30s, they often live well past 65. Okay, there's a caveat. They often live well past 65. Fair enough. Social Security was designed with the understanding that not everyone would reach retirement age, making the system financially stable. Okay, so essentially what the federal government was betting was that it would average out. A lot of people wouldn't make it to 65 or 62 or 58. But then there'd be a good amount that did make it past 65. And so it's like insurance, it's just like any other insurance. It's people that are, let's say drivers, driving insurance, for example. All the safe drivers who never get into accidents never really get the benefit of the car insurance they're paying for. But they are paying, they're subsidizing essentially people who are not as great of drivers. Similar here where people who unfortunately don't live that long are the ones who pay out the money to those people who live longer. Number 3, when did early and full retirement age increase? So early retirement age 62 was introduced in 1956 for women and 1961 for men and allowed workers to claim reduced benefits before the full retirement age. And the full retirement age increased from 65, as you can see here, to 67. And this happened, looks like in 1983. And it says the change was phased in beginning with people born in 1938. And for those people born 1960 or later, it is now full retirement age 67 years old. Now, why did the full retirement age increase? I think we can all pretty much assume or guess why that happened. Rising life expectancy, surprise, surprise. Government's like, listen, we can't really afford to pay all these people who are living longer, so we have to increase the age. Makes sense. Financial sustainability concerns. Again, there's a fund. When we get paid, we pay a portion of the money we earn from our job or from our business to the federal government so that the federal government can use that money to fund the pool of money that then gets paid out to people who are retired and are receiving Social Security. And so there's already concerns that the Social Security fund will become insolvent soon. We've been hearing that for a long time. People are concerned about that, which is another thing to consider when you're determining whether or not you want to take it at 62 or 67, because if you listen to all the noise out there, all the information out there, if you wait too long, you may not have any money left, or there may not be any Social Security funds left for you at all.
Let me get this straight about retirement in this country. So we as a people, as Americans, are supposed to wait until we're 65 years old to retire based on the system to get Medicare, to get our health insurance, because our health insurance is tied to our jobs. That one is backwards right there. Then if you are also to retire at 62 years old, you'll get penalized for that and not get your full Social Security that you've been paying into for some of us 40 years. You won't get that because they want you to wait until you're 67, which is full retirement age. Then years ago, they cut out pensions from these companies, right? And then they implement a 401k, but they don't really educate people enough so that they're doing what they need to do. Now, the onus is on us to actually learn. I gotta say that, okay? But most people are behind on their retirement, and most people are gonna have to work well into their 60s because of the system that is set up. And that is why I always say 2 things. One is we need to educate our young people so that they're not facing this mess themselves. So then they're not relying on a system that is backwards like this. We don't want to do that. So they need to start saving when they're young. And also for us who are older, really doing the things that we need to do to catch up. So that when we're 62, we don't have to, okay, you know what? I'm still retiring at 62. It doesn't matter your rules. I'll take the 70% of my Social Security because I have everything else. Now, I know that most people aren't there. Some people are, okay? A lot of people are, but a lot of people aren't there. And at 62, some people are gonna just take it because, you know what? I can't work anymore, but I need it, and they're gonna take that. Some people like me, I'm taking it just because I want it, and I'm not waiting till I drop dead and say, oh, you didn't get it because you dropped dead.
So he makes some really good points here, and here's the situation, and it's true. I don't think that Social Security was ever meant to be the sole form of income for people when they retire. As he mentioned, not too long ago, pensions was another way people received income in retirement. But nowadays, the only way you really receive a pension is if you work for like a state or federal government who provides a pension. Otherwise, private companies, pretty much none of them now provide pensions. Very, very few of them. And the difference between a pension and a 401k is where the onus is. With a pension, it's a defined benefit. With a 401k, or something similar, it's more of a defined contribution. Meaning with a pension, based upon the years of service you have, how much you earn through those years of service, similar to the Social Security, you're gonna get paid out by that company pretty much in perpetuity. And you don't have to be concerned with how that money is invested. That's the onus of the company to invest that money that you pay in, so that way they have money to pay you when you retire. Versus with like a 401k or a 403b, the onus is on you to invest your money and not the company. And when you retire, well, if you didn't invest it well, that's on you. So that's a big shift that occurred that put people in a kind of a bind, because most people aren't like him. They're not like me. They're probably not like you watching this video, that are into personal finance, who take onus upon themselves to learn how to invest. And also, let's be honest, not everyone makes enough money. I think anyone can invest in any income, and if we all should live below our means within reason, no matter how much we earn, and also find ways to earn more money. But with that being said, some people don't earn that much money. And so they're fighting paycheck to paycheck to put food on the table for themselves and their family. And the last thing on their mind is putting money away for a future time, because they're like, I need to survive today. Now that pensions are pretty much a thing of the past, it's tough if people are just depending on Social Security, because even if you take your full retirement benefit, it may not even be enough to cover all your expenses. And so that's what he's talking about, how we have to take it upon ourselves, especially people like myself who are a bit younger, or even people who are older, to become financially educated, watch stuff on YouTube, watch stuff on TikTok, maybe, read books, listen to podcasts, go to seminars, whatever you need to do to take hold of your own financial situation, so that you're not left out floating in the ocean when it's time to retire. Or you may never be able to retire at all, and you work to your 70s or 80s. If you work to your 70s, 80s plus, it should be because you want to, because it's fun, or because you just want something to do, not because you have to bring money in. And also, you don't want to be a burden on those around you. Maybe you don't want to be a burden on your children. Maybe you don't want to be a burden, on the system or whatever. Although if it's a system, you paid into it, fair enough. So with that being said, listen, it's obviously a very personal decision. Do you take the money at 62? Do you wait till 67? Do you wait to sometime in between that? What does your personal financial situation look like? Do you even need Social Security? Are you taking it because you don't need it and you just want to take it because, hey, like he said, I want it now. It's my money and I want it now. I don't need it, but hey, tomorrow's not promised. Let me just take the money I paid 40 plus years into. I'm gonna put some links in the description. I think it's worthwhile for everyone watching this video to go find resources and start doing the math on, okay, how much may I be looking at receiving when I retire? Social Security is based on your 35 years, highest earning 35 years, and they adjust it for income growth, the average income growth or whatever. And I'll send a link to the Social Security website that talks about that. Maybe consider paying for a one-time sit down with a financial advisor, whatever it takes to get yourself on track. Because, I don't want to see anybody, I'm sure you don't either, and you don't want to be in a position to where you are not able to retire with dignity, as they say. So with that being said, thanks for sticking around as long as the video. Feel free to leave in the comment section if you are considering retiring early, or if you are considering taking early retirement, why, and what situation you're in. I'd love to hear it. With that being said, till next time, make smart financial decisions.